Hey y'all, it's your favorite country girl, Renee Davis, and I'm back with another episode of Love Kills brought to you by Melanin Mayhem podcast. This is where I drop a dime on crimes that show you that love ain't always sweet. Sometimes it's deadly. Love Kills by Melanin Mayhem brings you the stories of relationships and situationships that went hella wrong and resulted in somebody's water being turned off permanently, if you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna give you the who, the what, the where, and why I think the shit is crazy. We gonna get in and we gonna get out just like a robbery. I got a story. You wanna hear it? Well, here it go. I'm always trying to make sure that we know and understand that it's a myth that there are crimes that black people don't commit. And today, the tale I got for you, this type of crime is in the top 3 of the things that black people think we don't do. I'm talking about cults. Oh yes, honey, that's a caucastic crime for sure. But guess what, y'all? We do that shit too. And I got a crazy story for you today about a nigga that said he was God and Jesus was a vampire. Check this shit out. Marcus Wesson was born August 22nd, 1946 in Kansas City, Missouri. He is the oldest of 4 children. His daddy, Benjamin Wesson, he was a wino, and his mama, Carrie Wesson, she was drinking the Jesus juice. That's a definite dysfunctional start, honey, because daddy was legit Ned the wino, and when I say his mama was into her religion, baby, she preached Jesus from the time she opened her eyes to her last prayer of the day before going to bed, honey. So I can kind of see how a cult leader was created out of this little situation here. Now, Marcus and his family, they bounced around from Missouri to Indiana to California to Washington. I mean, they never really put down roots. And that's because their daddy, he was a motherfucker, honey. They say that he was the type to fall through on a job like how a motherfucker fall through church on Easter and Mother's Day. Twice a year, you might catch that nigga working. He would mostly be at home getting his drink on and getting his flirt on with his own damn children. You heard me. You see, Daddy Wesson was one of them types that didn't care if it was the girls or the boys. Oh yes, honey. Benjamin Wesson, he was slanging that thing wherever it was clever, honey. He was so scandalous with it, y'all. This nigga ran off to San Jose with one of his male teenage cousins and left his wife and children to go be with his cousin. Walked out like a Mary J. Blige song and stayed gone damn near 10 years throwing feet to Jesus, and then brought his trifling ass back home to his wife and kids. Ooh, honey, they don't make women like that no more. And that's all I have to say about that, because this is not the relationship that did the love killing, but it is the relationship that made the love killer. Now, while Daddy was like, fuck them kids, literally, that goddamn Miss Carrie, oh, she didn't play the motherfucking radio. Oh, no. She was a super Seventh-day Adventist. I'm talking the extra religious edition, honey. Like, she was one of them OG, spare the rod, spoil the child kind of peoples. And her rod, it was a damn extension cord. Oh, Lord Jesus. I'm so glad, y'all, that we have evolved from beating children with them goddamn extension cords. Because, ooh, honey, that's pain. If you, I'm triggered. Wait a minute. Let's move on. Anyway, so fear and extreme religion, that was Marcus Wesson's foundational beginning, right? Instead of being outside riding his bike and playing ball as a child, he is in his room playing preacher. I guess for some kids, that's some regular kid shit. But I'm just thinking, from a young age, he was in a mindset of leading disciples, right? And it started with his siblings, and it just evolved from there. Because think about it, his mama's version of religion was a little twisted and turned, and him with a child mind, who knows what kind of spin he put on his own special brand of ministry. But I'm going to tell you how the shit ended up. And I don't think I'd be going too far out on a limb to say that he was being raised in an environment that was going to shape him into the man that he would become. Because you can't put it no simpler. The nigga was off. And I mean, that's putting it mildly. Things were different in his world. I mean, he really didn't subscribe to anything that we would call normal. You know what I'm saying? And let me break it down for you right quick. Now, Marcus Wesson left his mama's house and enlisted in the Army in 1966. He did a tour in Vietnam and in Germany. And as you know, Vietnam fucked up a lot of black men. And Marcus going in already slightly twisted in the head, it didn't help his mental with this job that he had because he was an ambulance driver. And so he saw all the messiness that happens on the battlefield as he ferried the injured soldiers to and from. He would get honorably discharged in 1968 back to California, and he meets a woman named Rose Solario. Now, Rose, she got 13 good years on Marcus. Okay. Cougarish vibes notwithstanding, they get together and they do the things that grown folks do. You know what I'm saying? Now, Rose is good and grown. Now, she grown and she got 8 children already when Marcus come bebopping into the picture. So I guess Rose was probably looking at them goddamn army benefits and shit. You know, she needed a little GI Bill in her life or whatever. Marcus, he keep Rose feet throwed to Jesus, and the next thing you know, Rose gave birth to her 9th child in 1971, a bouncing baby boy. Now, Rose already had a house full of children when Marcus rolled up on the scene, right? And this is where the story turned, y'all, because Marcus moved in, and within a couple of years, this nasty, disgusting, trifling motherfucker started slanging his funky ass dick all up and through Rose's house. All her kids, every last one of them, in some way, shape, form, or fashion, was molested by this raper that raped. And he raped Rose's daughter, Elizabeth, the most. She was his most special one. Ooh, honey, she was 8 goddamn years old when that trifling motherfucker started raping her. And by the time she was 14, she was having Marcus's baby. Now, I need a whole ass pause for a moment to drag Rose pussy punk ass across the floor by her goddamn hair, because what in the entire fuck? You done went out and got you a younger man and done exposed your children to this molesting molester that molests? Oh my God. Okay, wait a minute. Let's say you didn't know. Okay, let's give you a benefit of the doubt for a little piece of a minute, right? When your daughter Elizabeth came up pregnant, the dick and down was on full display. Use a trifling ass excuse for a mother, and I hope you suffer from boils in every crevice of your body. I hope you have hiccups and explosive diarrhea at the same time for the rest of your miserable life. I mean, I personally wish you nothing but razor blades and lemon juice and paper cuts. Yes, honey, yes. There is a special place in hell waiting for you, and you can't get there fast enough, funky bitch. Not only did this funky bitch not make this nigga a pot of grits and potash, she took it a step further and allowed this man to marry her 14-year-old daughter. The nigga she been laid up with for the last couple of years, who she now clearly knows has been laying up with her babies. And now she is blessing a union for him to continue to molest this child. Only now you can do the shit legally? Ugh. Stop it. Marcus is 27 years old and the pappy to his girlfriend's daughter's child. While it ain't incest, because Elizabeth was not his child. She's a goddamn child. She was his cougar ass girlfriend's child. How the fuck did this happen? And it gets worse. Like, well, you know, let me just go ahead and set the stage. Everything I'm gonna tell you from this point on gonna get worse. This is just the first it gets worse that we're gonna get into in a long list of it gets worse. Ugh, bear with me now. So it's 1974, and by now, young Elizabeth at 14 is a mama and a wife. And Marcus wastes no time in keeping her barefoot and pregnant. Like, every time she gave birth, she would be pregnant again before the 6-week checkup. Elizabeth would go on to have 10 children by this child molester. 5 boys, 4 girls, 1 died. Are you disgusted yet? Okay, but you ain't nearly as disgusted as you gonna be when I really break this thing down for you and tell you how it all ended. Ooh, all you gonna be able to say is, ooh, you nasty motherfucker. But here, let's go. Let's press on. In the 80s, Marcus had his family living in an army tent in the Santa Cruz Mountains. You heard me, in a goddamn tent with 11 human beings. Ooh, Lord. No water, no electricity, just tent and ground and sky. That's it. No bathroom. They used a public restroom. Ooh, the smell of it all. Marcus didn't give a fuck about no job. His motto was, why work when I can get welfare, when I can make my children work and give me all their money? And these kids was out doing any and everything they could to get up some money. I don't care if it was picking up bottles and cans to recycle. They was doing odd jobs, picking up shit, fixing shit. The girls had restaurant jobs or catering positions, server type things. And when they made money, they made their daddy money because he spent his days chilling at the house and with his hand out. Everything that they got, they had to bring it to him. Ain't that some pimp shit right there? Pimping, honey. So while he's spending his days laying around and at night holding church, because, oh, honey, Marcus had a very perverted way of reading and interpreting the Bible. And he preaches that God is he and Jesus was a vampire because he's very into the vampires and the immortalness of it all. And since Jesus is eternal and vampires is eternal, they got to be related. That was Marcus's religion. Oh, yes, a vampire. Stop bringing my black Jesus into this bullshit. That's some crazy Delulu shit right there, honey. But that's what a cult leader does, right? They brainwash and they control those who follow them. And Marcus only had his family as his flock. Granted, that was a gang of people, most of which he created incestuously. Now, Elizabeth, Marcus's wife, she had a sister named Rosemary. Well, Rosemary was on that shit. And kind of like Elizabeth, she stayed pregnant too because Rosemary had 7 goddamn children. Well, in 1989, Rosemary decided she wanted that dope more than she wanted them children. So she went to the woods and dropped all 7 of her children off at Elizabeth's and Marcus' house, throwed their asses the deuces, and kept it pushing. So now, with Elizabeth and Marcus already having 9 children, and now here come Rosemary 7, that's 16 goddamn children in one goddamn tent. Ooh, my Lord Jesus. The no electricity of it all. Stop it. Now, these kids, they become part of the cult. I mean, the girls, they wore dark robes and scarves, kind of like the Muslims from the stands where, the stands like Pakistan, Uzbekistan, way over there stand. Yeah, lots of material, voluminous, I think is what they say, from their neck to their goddamn ankles, completely covered. They did not speak unless Marcus told them it was okay. When they were out in public, every now and then, because he kept them isolated, they walked behind him, they avoided eye contact, and they were homeschooled, so they had very little interaction with the outside world. Now, the boys, they were separated from the girls. They couldn't interact with each other at all. Marcus said he didn't want any sexual feelings to come about. Bruh, we talking about brothers and sisters and cousins. But here's the gotcha. This Chester child molester, he showed the boys the door when they turned 18. But them girls, they had to stay so he could keep molesting them. Marcus didn't want no competition up in the house. Well, it wasn't a house, it was a tent. He didn't want no competition up in the tent. He wanted the girls all for himself, and he did them all, Noir Nation. Starting when they turned 8, he claimed that he was molesting them to make them better women. He even had a motherfucking name and a goddamn progression timeline for the shit. He called it loving, in air quotes, loving. Yeah, see, when they turned 8 or 9, he would start kissing them on the mouth and playing with their private parts. And when they got a little older, he progressed that shit to oral sex and then right up on into straight up sex and then into babies. Textbook cultism. This nigga talking about he prepared them for how to please a man when they got married. Well, guess what? He was the man they was married to. Yes, honey. Check this bullshit out. He was married to 2 of his daughters by his wife, Kiani Wesson and Sabrina Wesson. Them Elizabeth's children. He marries his actual daughters. And then he was married to 3 of his nieces, Rosemary's children, 3 of his wife's sister children, Rosa Solario, Ruby Ortiz, and Sofina Solario. And then all of them, they all started popping out babies. I'm talking about at the same time, back to back to back. We're talking about 4 or 5 girls pregnant at the same damn time. Teenagers, young teenagers, prepubescent girls, pregnant. Ugh. Stop it. Marcus nasty ass walking around talking about they was having babies for the Lord. Ooh, Ooh, Jesus be offense. What is this nigga, y'all? A molester that molest? We gotta come up with a good old dragon name for his punk ass. I can't wait to see what y'all bring me in social media for Marcus punk ass. He had them acting like they were concubines, like they were fulfilling his every whim, y'all. They were washing his locks. They would be scratching his underarms, rubbing his back, rubbing his feet. In my mind's eye, it's like I could see them fanning this motherfucker with a palm frond and peeling grapes and shit for him to eat. This motherfucker here, I mean, sorry, but there is no hell hot enough for this trifling son of a bitch. Y'all, it's some seriously sadistic people out here walking among us. This was his flesh and blood that he is procreating with. These are his literal babies. And the reason he say he doing it is because Elizabeth's uterus is wore out. It ain't wore out. That bitch done up and quit. That motherfucking uterus is collecting unemployment. After 10 babies, child, that thing is dust. At all. So he got his children and his nieces to be his surrogates, to do what she can't do. Ooh, honey. This perverted brand of religion included intense daily prayer sessions that lasted for hours. And then they would have talks about what to do if the government ever came knocking. And y'all know how, like, our kids, that are in public school or private school, but that actually go to school, how the kids, they practice tornado drills and shit. Well, this motherfucker had these children practicing how to get sent on to glory. I can't imagine the trauma, but I don't know. Since these kids were never exposed to anything other than Marcus's brand of religion, because, he kept them isolated from the world, they weren't even aware that they were being traumatized. Maybe to them, it was just another day at the house. Damn, that's fucked up. Now, please understand, Marcus might have done a little stint in the military, but he was just like his daddy. This nigga don't want to work nowhere, and he got a dick slanging problem. Everybody that was in that bitch that could was on welfare, including Marcus' big lazy punk ass. This was during the time that they bumped that check up every time you had a baby, so think about it. They had a nice little piece of change coming in that motherfucking tent, but it wasn't nearly enough to house and feed and clothe 18 human beings. And then the kids got the worst end of the stick because Marcus' big ass was gonna eat. He was gonna get something. But them children, they said you could frequently see them dumpster diving. Just a stinking bastard. But you know what? For a broke motherfucker, there was always money to buy some nigga-rigged accommodations. Marcus would purchase broke-down ass boats, talking about he was gonna fix them up and shit. And they moved from the tent in the woods to a sailboat in the Santa Cruz Marina. Now, we ain't talking about no yacht or no shit like that. And we ain't talking about it being a working boat, because didn't nothing in that bitch work. But I guess it was something to keep them out the elements, because Marcus don't believe in paying bills. They owed a marina because, when you got a boat, you got to put it somewhere, and it was on the water, and you got to pay for that little slip, and Marcus wasn't paying the slip fees for the boat being parked there. And ain't shit free, nigga. Them people want their money, and they already looking at y'all side eye because you are visibly a cult. You acting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and these people low-key want you to fuck out they goddamn town, and they don't want no parts of whatever it is that y'all is on. And being a small city and whatnot, somebody went and mentioned to a social worker down there at the welfare office that Marcus got a boat and he collected welfare. And you know what? Y'all know that was a flower ranger, right? But that's all right, because in this instance, Karen, Ken, whoever it was, I ain't mad at you, boo. Do your thing, because that nigga trifling. You may not know, but if you're on welfare, on the application, you have to list all your assets. And Marcus buying this raggedy-ass boat, sir, that's a whole-ass asset. And you didn't report that shit. And now that somebody done dimed you out, they finna get your ass right on up out of there, honey. Hit that ass with a welfare fraud charge for that little omission back in late 1989, early 1990. And the state want to know everything. Don't come up here asking me for something and you ain't gonna tell me what you got. And you better not let them catch you in your lie, or that's your ass. They locked Marcus up for a brief little 6-month timeout, and then he was back at home with the flock. Now, they might have taken Marcus's benefits away, but there was still plenty government money flowing up and through that bitch with everybody else and without his girls, right? After he got out of jail, they moved from the broke down boat to another broke down boat in the Tamales Bay, which is about an hour north of San Francisco in 2003. Again, a little small area. And this boat that they done moved to with all of these people ain't got no bathroom, and it looked like something that should have been sunk a long time ago. But you know, it sat out a little bit, so it wasn't like one of them things where you could just jump off and just walk on the shore. It was out a little bit, so you had to take a dinghy from that boat to get to shore. Well, Marcus would have the girls row him to shore, just sitting back chilling like he got slaves or some shit. And the local town people, they didn't know what the fuck was going on. They just see a group of black girls covered from head to toe surrounding this big black ass motherfucker that look crazy as fuck. So of course, you know what they do. They start calling defects and shit. And the next thing you know, it's time for the Wesson cult to move one more again, right? Now I want you to understand that a foundational part of this crazy nigga Marcus's religion was that it was better for the family to die and go home to the Lord together than be separated by defect. And that was the thing. If the authorities tried to take the kids, his daughters and his nieces were supposed to kill their kids and then themselves. And then Marcus would stay alive and be the spokesperson for the family to tell why they did what they did. Bitch, what? Pimping. That's some pimp talk if I ever heard something. Bitch, I'd rather give you my money than take my motherfucking life. I won't do now one of them, but god damn, well, ooh, you know what? I'm glad I used my voice for good. Jeez Louise. I just don't understand it. Just like, wow, you can make somebody really believe something. Like, the mind is crazy, y'all. So yeah, Marcus is gonna stay alive and he gonna be the spokesperson, you know what I'm saying, for Jenny Craig. Now I don't know what the fuck, but this nigga is out here and telling them that that's what they're going to do, and that's the shit that they're practicing what to do if the authorities ever showed up, like how they did in Waco, right? And I'm talking, they did this shit regularly, like monthly meetings for the just in case. What should you do? And so y'all know this ain't gonna end well, right? You do know that, right? Well, somewhere around October 2003, Marcus and the crew, they finally settled down in Fresno, California. And I use settled very loosely because it was still kind of squatting, sort of, kind of. You see, this time, Marcus purchased an abandoned building on West Hammond Avenue, and it was commercially zoned, and they turned it into their house. And Marcus had also bought a yellow school bus that he was having the children refurbished so that they could live in it. I mean, because you got damn near 30 people in the family. I guess you do need like a little 2-story building or something to house everybody. Well, Fresno, they went with that shit. And so once they realized that they were actually living in that building versus working out of that building, they stayed trying to get their asses out because, you know, you can't just take over a building in a commercial area and live in it, right? There's this little thing called zoning, and commercial is commercial and residential is residential. And a commercial building ain't meant to be a home. It ain't set up for that. It ain't got no bedrooms. It ain't got no real place to sleep comfortably, right? No kitchen. It's not a home. So because there's no place to sleep and, you know, there's no beds or whatever, what does Marcus do? Marcus goes out and buys 12 mahogany caskets for the children to sleep in. I bullshit you not. I promise you I'm dead ass serious. 12 goddamn coffins. I mean, he passed by Walmart and thrift stores, you know what I'm saying? He could have got some mattresses and just put them on the floor. No problem with that. Plenty of people got a mattress on the floor. But you went straight to vampire land. Who in the fuck has their kids sleeping in a goddamn coffin? Children don't even supposed to know what a coffin look like, much less get tucked into one every night. What in the Dracula bullshit is this? Now, the city didn't know about any of this. They just wanted them to not live in this building. And so, going the legal route, they had given the Wesson cult an eviction notice. You know, one of them get up out our shit. And the date that they had to be out of the building was March 12th. Well, Sophia and Ruby, two sisters, nieces of Marcus. They had left the cult, but when they left, they had to leave their children behind. And so now that time has passed, they've had some time to live out amongst the world. They want their goddamn children back because they understand that's some bullshit going on over there. So Sophina and Ruby, they knew about the eviction date, and so they hatched a plan to go rescue their kids, and they were going to use the city as their backup. They knew that on eviction day, the city would send some police officers out, because you know that's what they do when you get evicted. So they figured they would scoop up their children and be on their merry way. Well, I am here to tell you, it did not go as planned. Ooh, what happened next? It's just a mess on mess on mess on tragedy, and it's a lot of shit happening at the same time. So I'm gonna do my best to lay it out so it don't sound like I'm just all over the place. So again, it's March 12th, 2004, and all hell is about to break loose in the worst way imaginable. So the building is at 761 West Hammond Avenue, and this is now about to be the epicenter of one of the worst massacres in Fresno history. And it all started around 2 o'clock that afternoon when 15 people rolled up on Marcus' house ready to do the damn thing, led by Ruby and Sophina, the sisters, right? And 13 other friends and family of theirs. And they rolled deep because, you know what I'm saying, they were ready to put that Vaseline on and pull their hair in a ponytail, you know, get that furniture moving or whatnot. And the plan was simple. Again, today is eviction day. We want our children from Marcus. So Ruby had a daughter. Her name was Aviv Dominique Wesson. And then Sophina had a son. His name was Jonathan St. Charles Wesson. Ooh, that's a rich sounding name. Jonathan St. Charles Wesson. That sounds like somebody with a nice 401k. Ooh, woo. Okay, anyway, not the point. Both of these children are 7 years old. So, okay, they get there. And then the cussing and the carrying on get started. Ooh, somebody call somebody a bitch. You ain't finna do this. You ain't finna do that. I want my motherfucking children. We finna do this. Oh, it's going back and forth, right? So somebody called the police, right? Because they need an assist. I don't know if I told y'all, but Marcus is like 300 pounds. He got locks down to his knees. But the kicker is, in this situation, he's just standing in the doorway of the entrance to the building, just cool as a cucumber, while he wasn't participating in the cussing and the fussing and the screaming and the hollering. He's standing there like, you know, butter won't melt in his mouth, but he was basically like, fuck y'all, they're my kids. Now, while Marcus is calm, his daughter Sabrina, ooh, honey, her ass is on 10 the hard way. She wanted all the smoke. Like, oh, girl is crashing the fuck out about her daddy and how dare y'all be at my motherfucking house. It was like she was the junkyard dog and she was about to tear ass on all 15 of these people that showed up unexpectedly at her door. Well, the police, they show up about 2:30, right? And right about this time, Sophina goes into the house because, hey, the police here, got backup. Why not make my way into the house and go get my motherfucking child? Sophina go in the house and she go get her son, Jonathan. Sophina has Jonathan by the hand and she starts walking to the door. Rosie Solario, Sophina's sister and one of Marcus's wives, she sees Sophina and she's like, oh, hell no, you ain't taking him nowhere. And she grabbed Jonathan and takes him back to a back room in the back of the building. Now Sophina hard don't beat no fear and she ready to drop some bows on them hoes. So she go get up in the room and her and Rosie going at it, and she walk in this room and it's like 5 or 6 kids in this room already. But again, her and Rose going at it. And I'm with all this shit. Beat that hoe ass, Sophina. Well, unfortunately, Sophina got handled by Rosie. Rosie drug that bitch out the room and slammed the door in her face with her son still inside. Ma'am, you should have drawn on the strength of the ancestors for this one. Ain't no way a bitch gonna keep me from getting my goddamn son. I'm low-key disappointed in you, Sophina. But I'm gonna move on because this is just one interaction of many that are going on at the same damn time. So while Sophina back there fighting with Rosie, she is being drugged out the room, right? So Sophina is outside the door, but as she was being drugged out of the room by Rosie, she saw Sabrina digging in a bag of guns inside this room with these kids. Wait. you see a crazy bitch with a bag of guns in a room with your kid, and what you do? Well, I'm going to tell you what Sophina did. Sophina, she go back to the front of the building to go try to talk to Marcus, head crazy in charge, right? The HCIC. Now, mind you, the Fresno police are on the scene. They outside. They talking to everybody. They don't talk to Marcus. I mean, the police is here. And I'm talking about, like, police presence is 2 to 3 to 4 officers. What I don't understand is why the fuck didn't Sophina grab one of them officers and go get her goddamn kid? Because you just saw a crazy bitch with a bag of guns back there where your kid at. But no, Sophina trying to get Marcus to go back there and go get her kid. And Marcus was like, shit, you need to talk to the girls. I'm sure y'all can work something out. Again, unbothered as fuck. Now, Marcus chatting it up with the police, and because he is the calmest of everybody there, they mistakenly believe that he gonna be the voice of reason in the midst of all this chaos. Ooh, child. Y'all couldn't take one look at him and be like, he not the one. When y'all see the pictures on social media, you're gonna be like, nay. And I can't. Again, the series of It Gets Worse, they're still coming. I ain't through. At some point, Marcus has a little chat with Rosie, who just got through whipping up on Sophina's ass, and his daughter, Kiani Wesson. And Sophina overhears Kiani ask Marcus, Dad, should we? And Marcus says, no. Now, I wonder if that was them asking, was it time to pull the kill switch? Ooh, Jesus be offense, honey. Jesus. Now, with all this going on, you got pockets of people everywhere. They standing around, because remember, they came 15 deep, plus the police officers, plus Marcus and his crew. I mean, they deep in that motherfucker, right? And so everybody is standing around this old yellow school bus, in and around it, and people are just waiting around. What the fuck is y'all waiting on? I mean, y'all tell me, because I know sometimes I can go off the deep end, but am I tripping? Because I promise you, if either of my kids is in this structure, in this building, in this house, in this car, whatever the fuck they are, and I want them, that's exactly what the fuck gonna happen expeditiously. Me and Charlene, we gonna make some shit happen. Y'all know about Charlene? Go listen to Melanin Mayhem if you don't know nothing about Charlene, honey. That's my road dog. At some point, Marcus goes back into the building and he closes the door on everybody. And he stayed in the building with the doors closed for the next hour and 20 minutes, undisturbed. And nobody try to go in, and nobody trying to do shit. And then a little while later, here come Elizabeth. Remember, that's the one, his first wife, who uterus on unemployment line, and his daughter Kiani. Then there's Rosie, who beat up a girl a little while ago. And then there's a brother, Serafino, Marcus's son. And they looking crazy. Like their expressions are somewhere between sad and mournful. How you would look if the doctor tells you there's nothing else that can be done, or how it look when they walk in the Green Mile or some shit like that. And so as they walking out looking all sad and shit, Serafino say some shit like, I think Dad killed him. Dad shot Lizzie. That was the little girl. And Sabrina. What? Wait, what? What the fuck you mean Marcus killed somebody? Wait a minute. How the fuck y'all been in there with the shit going down and you ain't thought to stop this shit from happening? You ain't thought to run out and grab somebody? How is it? Wait a minute. Wait. I'll go a step further. How is it? It's 1,000 of y'all motherfuckers outside and ain't nobody heard nothing? What in the entire fuck? Now, the police at this point are like, ooh, we need a SWAT team to come and assist us now that Serafino done said this bullshit. But again, this don't make sense to me. Police are already there. Y'all been there. Why the fuck don't y'all go in and do police shit? You know, like protect and serve. It's a whole lot of somebodies in that building that need protecting. Ain't nothing worse than a scared ass police officer. Stabler would have never. He'd have gone up in that bitch and had everything under control before the first commercial break, honey. Stop playing with me. Anyway, the Fresno police, they trying to get the SWAT team out there and they want some negotiators to get on site before they do anything. And so by the time they got their game face on, it was too late. Marcus comes strolling out the front door like he about to make a Starbucks run. This nigga is covered head to toe in blood. So the police rush his ass. But y'all some punk ass police because he wasn't armed and he wasn't resisting. It take all y'all to take his ass to the ground. They did have to use 3 sets of handcuffs on that ass though, but that's because he was big, not because he was combative. That's just a big nigga. Ooh, but Noir Nation, ooh, the scene that they ran up on is something that you can't even imagine in your worst nightmare. It's a room full of coffins and 8 babies dead in a pile from youngest to oldest. Their bodies were still warm. All but one was shot through their right eye. But the one baby, Sabrina's child, that child, he was shot through his left eye. And then there's Sabrina on top of the pile, dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. She had rounded up as many of the children as she could and killed every last one of them. Every last one of them, y'all. It was so bad, y'all. The victims were Java St. Vladinspree, 1 year old. That was the grandson of Marcus. That was his son with his daughter, Kiani. Then there was 1.5-year-old Sedona Vadra. That was Rosie's daughter, which makes that Marcus's daughter, grandniece. Then there was Marche St. Christopher. He was 1.5. That's Sabrina's son, which is Marcus's daughter, which makes that his son, grandson. Then there was Ethan St. Laurent, who was 4 years old. That's Rosie's son, which makes that Marcus's son, grandnephew. Then there was Jonathan St. Charles, who was 7 years old. That was Sophina's son, which makes that Marcus's son, grandnephew. Then there was Aviv Dominique, who was 7 years old too. That's Ruby's daughter, making that Marcus's daughter, grandniece. There was Illabelle Carey. She was 8. That is his daughter with his daughter, making that his daughter, granddaughter. Then there was Elizabeth Brianni Keena. She was 17 years old. That was one of Marcus's children with his wife, Elizabeth, the first one. And then there was Sabrina April. She was 25 years old, and she was also Marcus's daughter, who he had a son with. My God, that was a lot, right? And we know this because DNA testing revealed that Marcus was the father of every last person I just listed. Every last one of them. You the daddy. Twice over. There are no words. All 9 of these babies killed. 8 babies shot in the eye. Killing them with a bullet to the dome? Jesus. But wait, why the fuck is Marcus still alive? Oh yeah, that's right. You the spokesperson. You gonna make sure that everybody know why this was done. Ooh, if everybody has to go, why we didn't just leave a note? There was no need for you to sit here and tell the story. Write that shit down. But you see how a motherfucker will make sure that everybody else go on to glory while they stay here? And you know what? Marcus was not the only punk in this situation. Remember I told you that Kiani and Rosie walked out with Serafino after the murderations? Well, Serafino didn't live in the cult house no more with his daddy, but Kiani, his daughter, and Rosie, the bitch that wouldn't let Ruby have her son, they did live in the cult house. They were drinking the Kool-Aid. Kiani said Sabrina was calling her name for her to come in the room with her and the kids. Bitch, you knew why she was calling your name. You ignored that hoe because you wasn't ready to die. And Rosie, your bitch ass too. You kept Ruby's son in that room. You knew what was about to happen. You knew the upper room was the destination for all y'all. So why your ass still here, funky bitch? With all this pandemonium, as only a senseless murder of children can bring, oh, the wailing and the moaning and the crying, baby, Ruby and Serafina was losing it. Ruby was just completely inconsolable. So much so, and this is not funny, but it's funny as fuck. Ruby's mama, Rosemary, the one who dropped her ass off to go be a crackhead, why Rosemary punched Ruby in her stomach? Ma'am, why you do that to your daughter? In the movies, you slap somebody when they're hysterical. This bitch over here giving body blows. Oh, God. I guess we needed a moment to laugh because, oh, Jesus, I just don't understand it. And here's the big thing for me. I don't understand how nobody heard 9 gunshots. 9. How are the police right here? And they didn't do shit. This does not compute. It don't make sense to me. Now, Marcus, he's arrested and he is charged with murder. Now, understand, everybody knows that Marcus did not pull the trigger. Sabrina did. Facts. That's facts all day. But Marcus was the one that was pulling the strings on his puppet daughter. He was the one that drilled into them what to do if the authorities came. So for the state, he was just as guilty as if he had pulled the trigger himself. And they charged his ass with 9 counts of murder and 14 counts of sexual abuse for fucking his daughters and nieces. Now his wife, Elizabeth, his daughter, Kiani, and that niece, Rosie, oh honey, they all screaming, free my nigga Marcus, free my nigga Marcus. He ain't do nothing wrong. That's a good man, Savannah. Brainwashed like a motherfucker. Your children, your siblings are dead and gone. And he the one been telling y'all to do this fuck shit all your life. And you defending this nigga? Ooh, somebody need to pray and lay hands on y'all. Where the fuck is Iyanla when you need her? Now what's funny? Miss Carrie, y'all remember her? That's Marcus's mama. She's still alive and kicking when all this shit went down. Remember, she the holy roller that kicked that religious fanaticism off, right? She told the Los Angeles Times this, and I'm gonna quote it because this shit funny as fuck. Quote, if Marcus is guilty, I would really feel disappointed in my country if it didn't make him face the penalty. But I'm a biblical person too, and I don't believe in capital punishment. What I would like for Marcus to do is sit in prison and think about what he's done and read the Bible, end quote. Now, I ain't never thought that I would say some shit like this in all my days, but that nigga Marcus, oh, he need to leave the Bible alone. What would Jesus do? Kick that nigga in his nuts. That's what Black Jesus would do. I'm sorry. It's late. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning and I have insomnia, so I'm just recording y'all. Okay, so the case went to trial in June of 2005, and it lasted for 3 months, and there were more than 50 witnesses that took the stand, right? And so the prosecution, their case is simple. Marcus may not have pulled the trigger, but he was aiding and abetting the person that did it because he had mind control like Debo. He put the battery pack in her back, and he had the remote control controlling her actions. The prosecutor was a woman named Lisa Gamian, and she called up all the family members to testify that Marcus was that motherfucker, and nobody did make a move unless he told them to. Well, the defense, led by court-appointed attorneys Ralph Torres and Peter Jones, their defense was this: hey, fucking and marrying your daughters and granddaughters and nieces and having a different take on how the Bible should be interpreted does not make you a murderer. Sir, you could be right. That might be a true statement, but what it does make you, it makes you an incestuous, polygamous, sadistic, diabolical, audacious son of a bitch. For sure. The defense was standing on the fact that Sabrina did all the shooting and all the killings on her own free will, and then she killed herself. She even took out her own damn son. So you know the bitch crazy. She the guilty person, not Marcus. Baby, Rosie got her puss ass on the stand to stand by her man. Even though 2 of her kids is up there with the king, talking about she still loved him and she will always be his wife. Man, go get your ass some help. I can't even drag you no more because you are clearly the leader of the Delulu band. Moving on. Then there was Elizabeth Wesson, the original child bride. She got her punk ass on the stand. Now, you know, she the only legal wife this nigga got. So she gets her punk ass on the stand and she denied everything like Peter did Jesus. She didn't know nothing. She didn't see nothing. Nigga, what? She said that she didn't know her daughters were getting fucked by their daddy, her husband. This bitch said, and I quote, "How can I protect them if they didn't tell me? They never told me anything." Bitch, they didn't have to tell you shit. You saw all their asses coming up pregnant. What you thought? Immaculate Conception was just having a freak off at your house? Dust, bitch. That's all you deserve, you dusty, funky bitch. And then that bitch had the nerve to say she didn't ask her girls who the baby daddy was because she considered that to be mean and rude. Bitch, I will slap the taste out your mouth, and this ain't even my goddamn children. Moving on, dust. 3 of Marcus's sons took the stand too. 22-year-old Marcus Jr., 29-year-old Adrian, and 30-year-old Dorian. All of these boys had left their father's house well before any of this bullshit happened. Because remember, Marcus kicks the boys out as soon as they turn 18. You gotta get the fuck up out of here, right? So, when they got on the stand and they was asked about their sister's pregnancies, Marcus, the youngest one, he said that they told him that they had gotten pregnant by artificial insemination. Sir, on a child? Who the fuck you know performed that expensive ass procedure on children? Ugh, dust. And then Adrian say he was suspicious because all the kids look like his daddy. Nigga, you think? You know what? I guess I need to give grace because all y'all is inbred, and so your chromosomes and shit all fucked up. Rationality and common sense was completely stripped out y'all bloodline. You know what I'm saying? Only Dorian, the oldest one, he's the only one that spoke like he had a little piece of sense up there because he got on the stand and he said, you know what? My daddy is insane because he think he Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm with you on that. Your dad is insane, but if you know he is insane, why the fuck you ain't went and got your siblings up out that situation? Huh? Don't sit back and point fingers. You left them. Stop that. Stop it, stop it, stop it. When it was all said and done, it took the jury 2 days to find Marcus Wesson guilty of 9 counts of first-degree murder and 14 counts of rape and molestation. They sentenced that ass to death for the murders and gave him 102 years just as a cherry on top for them goddamn rapes. Currently, Marcus Wesson is 78 years old this year and is serving his time in the San Quentin Rehabilitation Center. He will never be executed because he is in California. And California is not with the execution shit. They have completely abolished like anything that's got to do with death row. They are not with it at all. So Marcus Wesson, even though he was sentenced to die, he will live the rest of his funky ass, miserable ass days on the taxpayer's dime. And probably still getting money put on his book by his many wives and daughter wives and wives and niece wives and whoever else wives, granddaughter wives. And y'all, that is the story of Marcus Wesson, a man that twisted the Bible to make it his own religion, a man that married his girlfriend's daughter and fucked every last one of his female children, grandchildren, and nieces. A man who turned the love of his family against each other and caused them to take the lives of their family in the most vicious way possible. I'm telling y'all, Marcus would have been dead so many different ways. Like, I literally feel like I need to bleach my tongue because this nigga was sick on sick on sick. He had babies with his daughters and his nieces. He slept with all his daughters and his nieces. He slept with all his daughters and his nieces. I just, yuck, 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 and yuck. And what boggles my mind is that this was not happening in a vacuum. Marcus and his crew, they had family that weren't involved in that cult shit. I'm talking a lot of family. His parents were still alive. He had siblings. They had kids and shit. There were interactions. There were cookouts and things. They went to each other's houses. They were family. And everybody knew that Marcus was batshit crazy, and nobody stepped in to try to help these young people. And that is unconscionable. I cannot imagine knowing my nieces or my cousins or anybody, my sister, caught up in a situation that's fucking them up, that is scarring them physically and mentally, and not do something about it. I mean, there's situations where you mind your own goddamn business. You know what I'm saying? Your brother's children, if he don't want to put them in after school programs, mind your own goddamn business. But if he is actively fucking them, yeah, somebody needs to say something. If he got a house full of children and they all pop up pregnant at the same goddamn time, somebody need to call defects. I'm just saying, nobody did anything. Not a goddamn thing. Ooh, honey, let me tell you something. Me and Charlene, we'd have had to have a meeting of the minds with that nigga Marcus, honey. I'm just here to tell you. Oh, and speaking of guns, I still can't get past how nobody on the scene heard gunshots. But you know what? Somebody did, because there was a witness account from a neighbor a few buildings down. Well, their houses on the other side. So this building is like right on the corner of where the commercial zoning ends and the residential zoning begins, right? So there is someone who lives like 2 to 3 doors down. And this woman says that she was on her computer emailing somebody and she heard gunshots. And she wasn't lying, because the email which they showed is time, date, stamped, and she has typed, "There's been a shooting here in front, and apparently there are deaths." So if somebody 2 to 3 houses away heard some pops, how the fuck did the police right outside, who are trained to hear gunshot, y'all ain't heard a goddamn thing? Throw the whole department away. Y'all done stood outside and let these folks go at it. Like, what? Where? Bring the peace. Y'all are peace officers. And this wasn't none but chaos. I can't. I swear to God, I can't. And you know, it's been more than 20 years since this happened. The building that it all went down in, they demolished it, and nothing else was ever rebuilt on the site. And you know what? Hopefully, the ghost of the lives that were gone too soon, my hope and my prayer is that they all rest in peace now. Now, I can't wait to hear what y'all thought of this episode of Love Kills. You can get at me on all the socials. I'm Melanin Mayhem Podcast or Melanin Mayhem PC. If you haven't joined the Facebook discussion group, stop procrastinating and get your booty in gear, honey. Now, don't forget, there's a community event that I am hosting on June the 7th at the Auburn Avenue Research Library in beautiful downtown Atlanta. I will be leading a discussion on the Atlanta child murders and the role Wayne Williams played in this crime. You can find more details on Eventbrite. It's free 99, and all we need is you to make it a bop. Okay, it's time for me to go and do what I do to get this thing ready for your listening pleasure, because again, it is legit 5 a.m. Thursday morning. I have not been to sleep at all. I guess I am going to go to sleep in about an hour or so. Well, until the next love story ends in tears and tragedy and love takes a bite out of somebody's ass, y'all stay safe and play that shit smart. And remember, love will make you do some crazy shit. Don't get caught up and fuck around and be on an episode of Love Kills. Love Kills will be back in 2 Fridays, but you can catch me on Wednesday at our regular time for your next hit of Melanin Mayhem. Until then, your favorite country girl is out of here.